Another aspect of a quality treadmill is the lower board. The lower board right here is actually the brains of the treadmill. It's what sends all the communication from the upper board or the console to the motor. It tells the motor to speed up, to slow down, to put more power to it, to take some power away from it, to give the user the best experience possible. There's a couple things that you need to look for in a quality lower board. The first thing is the sheer size of the board. Typically speaking, the bigger the board, the better it is. The bigger the computer is, the better it is, in other words. Take a look at the size of the resistors and the capacitors on this board. That's a very important indication of the way that it's interacting both with the upper part of the console and the motor. The second thing you look for is the way that things are placed within the board. What a quality manufacturer like Precor does is they actually take the parts and impregnate them through the board itself. That's very important because there's a tremendous amount of vibration that happens on the lower board. For that reason, a lower board will fail because things will shake around and tend to come loose. So they're either doing something such as impregnating these pieces within the board or taking an acoustical glue around these components in order to make everything keep away from shock. Another thing that they do is to put a separate muffin fan on the electronics. That's very important because that keeps everything cool. As we talked about before, one of the worst things that you can do is create a ton of heat around here. Another thing that they do is they place the board not down like this, but actually vertically like this. If you place a board horizontally, dust and dander will tend to get on the board. But by putting it up vertically like this, dust and dander will not settle on the board. And finally, the last thing is they put a heat sink in between the board and the motor. If the motor is running hot, the last thing you want to do is to also create excessive heat on your lower board. For that reason, it will sink heat away. This is a really good example right here of a quality lower board.